Hello, everyone. Welcome to BoilerBall postgame in the lounge. I am Sam Sprunger. I am joined by Mr. Dustin Schutte. Dustin, my goodness, that was something as the Boilermakers survive, and that's literally what they did. Survived their trip to Lincoln and beat the 7th-ranked Cornhuskers 80-77 in OT. Dustin, what are your I was able to watch it, but not like in depth, so I've got some stuff to throw in, but you're the guy that watched on and off. What are your takeaways from this victory in Lincoln?
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and a lot of positives and a lot of negatives. The first I'm going to highlight the positives. Number one was for so many games in a row now, it seemed like we'd been kind of harping on needing Oscar Cluff and Trey Kaufman-Renn to get back to rebounding the basketball.
Yeah.
And today they did that at a high rate, 33 rebounds between the two. That was the difference in the game. And I thought, Sam, that also then translated to the rest of the team. I mean, Fletcher got a rebound late off a free throw, got a questionable foul call out of it. Probably should have been a jump ball. CJ Cox gets a rebound late in the game off of an Oscar Cluff missed free throw to force a tie up. Nebraska got possession, but just the effort there. Jack Benner was chasing balls down all afternoon or all evening long. So that was the positive. This was a team that also looked like they were hungry and ready to play from the opening tip-off, and they sustained that momentum for 30 minutes. And for 30 minutes, Sam, they looked like a team that could win a national championship. This looked like the team that played Texas Tech. It looked like the team that had run Auburn out of Gainbridge Fieldhouse in December.
Yeah.
And then the last 10 minutes happened. And
well, at 10 minutes, it was what? It was 17 or 18 point game at that point, correct?
Yeah, I don't remember what it hold on. I do have this.
Wow, you got the stats right there.
Well, Sam, during these games, I keep a live blog update, and I frequently update it with scores. So what I'm going to do is go to si.com/college/Purdue and not look at the 5 thoughts, but I'm going to look at the live game thread here. As you can see, I'm filibustering.
At 10 minutes, it was 54-43.
Okay, so at 11:55, it was 52-36. So they had still had a 16-point lead, a little bit at the second media timeout. And then Nebraska goes on a 12-0 run and essentially takes away that big lead that Purdue had. And you kind of start to get that feeling of here we go again. And it happened. Like, Nebraska was able to close the gap. They put themselves in position to tie the game. Purdue missed some free throws late. Braden Smith missed the front end of a 1-and-1. Fletcher goes 1 of 2. CJ Cox misses both of his free throw tries, and allowed Nebraska to force overtime. Really, they could have won it in regulation. Rank Mass fortunately kind of bailed Purdue out there by missing a free throw of his own late. And then in overtime, obviously, I think they were 4-7 from the free throw line in overtime there. So they missed some there as well. So still a lot of, I think, concerns about this team's ability to put teams away. And if this had been, I wouldn't necessarily be that concerned if this was a 12-point lead, because Nebraska wasn't going to shoot that cold. They weren't going to play poorly defensively for the entire game. But the fact that it was 22 points in the second half and 16 points with 12 minutes to play, you got to keep your foot on the gas, and you got to get out of there with a comfortable win and not get it to overtime. But at the end of the day, and we have plenty to talk about here, but at the end of the day, they did get the win. And what I think is going to be a confidence building win, because you got it over a top 10 team on the road, coming out of a game that you had to grind out against Oregon. So this is a second straight game you had to grind out to get a win. And this one keeps you, the last one did too. All wins keep you in the Big Ten race, but this one in particular kept you in the Big Ten race.
Well, let's look at it this way. They had to find a way to win this game. Should they have? Probably not. Okay, but they did. They had to figure it out. So therefore, I look at this, and I'm a half glass full guy. So Dustin, you can tell me I'm a dreamer or whatever when we get to certain points. But they had to fight for that. They had to figure out a way to win, and they did. in an environment against a very, 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 very good basketball team. And let's be honest, a lot of people, and I mean pundits that matter, not the fair weather fans or the Nebraska fans that are Nebraska by 30. I saw that too much, but the point being is the guys that matter still thought Nebraska was going to win this game with the way Purdue had been playing leading into this game, and then the way Nebraska's just performed all year. Not a lot of people giving Purdue a chance, and what they did was they came in, they built a huge lead, and I've told you multiple times, including in the air or before we went on the air today, is you build a lead in order to be able to give up that lead. Now, do you want to give all of it up? No. Do you want to actually be down and have to get back into the game? No, you don't want that. But that's why you build a lead. Think about if they hadn't had that 22-point lead or that 16-point lead, and they give up a 12-0 run, and they're tied at the time. Now they're down 12 to a team at home like Nebraska. So, yes, you don't want to see it happen, but that's why you build the lead, because then if you have a cold shooting streak and the other team heats up, you're still in the game, if not still ahead.
Well, and I think to that point, like I thought this team showed some resiliency at times in the past when it didn't. And I know this game still got to overtime, right? But there was a time when it was, 52-36. Nebraska is able to get that game to 4 points at 57-53. And I don't have a better phrase for this. So it's just here we go again. I'm just probably say that 30 times on this show. But point being is that, I think they could have folded in that moment, and Nebraska, they're capable of going. I think they've gone on a 20-0 run at times this season. Yeah. And so they could have extended that and they could have taken the lead, but Purdue then responded with CJ Cox knocking down a three. Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Renn gets a bucket off of a really nice Braden Smith bounce pass. And then CJ knocks down another three, pushes the lead back up to 12. Yes, I'm aware that they then surrendered that lead late, and Nebraska had a chance to win it in regulation, but in those moments, I feel like, UCLA, Illinois, those are games where Purdue just hasn't found a way to respond, and they were able to respond today. Mm-hmm. And then the second time was Price Sanford gets a layup to make it 77-75. And all of a sudden you think, oh boy, I don't know, Purdue might start hanging their heads. Is this going to be, Indiana for the last, whatever it is, a minute and a half, 2 minutes of this game? And they get a timeout, draw up a good play, get the ball to Oscar Cluff, who draws an and one. And, I just thought that they made some resilient moves in games this season. In some of these moments, I don't know that they necessarily have been that resilient. And so we say, like, I keep got to remind myself, like I keep saying, like, they haven't been at times, but we're talking about 4 losses here. And really there's only been 2 games maybe where you can point to that. So I was impressed the fact that they were able to continue to keep their composure and, make plays down the stretch when they needed to make plays. And
yeah, they're in the middle of letting this huge insurmountable lead go. But you're absolutely right. They didn't just, fold like a cheap lawn chair and say, okay, we're done. They battled. And that to me are things you can take away. Do you want to talk about the blown 22-point lead? No. You're going to need to a little bit to see what kind of breakdowns and what kind of things. Some of it was just they could not hit the wide open shot, mm-hmm. Like, the fact that they go, well, I've only got the first half. Let's put the whole game stats on here. 13 of 46. 13 of 46 from threes. They were 15 of 30 from the field inside the arc. And 13 of 46 from threes. I mean, and 11 of 20 from the free throw line. Inexcusable, because there were multiple front ends that were missed. And I know I harp on that, but my grandpa used to always say those are the easiest points to get, simply because you're not being guarded. Just shoot the ball into the hoop. And they're not sexy. They're not necessarily always something people want to work on, and it's very difficult to have that. And I know TKR and Braden Smith both missed front ends, And it might have been Cluff that missed one too late in the game, and it just is frustrating because you make those. We're not even talking about overtime. Yeah, we're talking about giving up a lead, but you still survived in regulation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I saw a tweet out there that said, basically, if you would have told me we had a chance to ice this game with Braden and Fletcher going to the line on, back-to-back possessions, I'd have bet my house on it. And then you throw CJ into the mix, and it's like, okay, well, guess you would have lost a lot of money. That's why I don't gamble, Sam. But because I'm bad at it. But I just want to say this too. So first, you can't keep it going. The people who have said in the past, and I don't know if this is the case this year, Purdue needs to shoot more threes.
No,
they are capable of hitting at a high clip, but this is the reason why you don't just chuck it up from deep. 13 of 46. Early, it looked like they were in a rhythm and they hit a couple big shots. But the one thing I will say, though, because I feel like this is going to be coming, Fletcher had 18 points on 20 shots, and he was 4 of 17 from 3. There's going to be people who are critical of that. I'm going to tell you those were good offensive possessions 90 to 95% of the time. The reason being is they didn't turn the basketball over on those possessions. Second thing is Purdue was offensive rebounding at such a high clip that almost turned into we can get second chance points. We can get a foul. We can get some. So even if you're not hitting at those clips, the fact that he was not afraid to pull the trigger, imagine if he pulls some of those down and they result in just 3 or 4 turnovers. If Purdue has 3 or 4 more turnovers in this game, they lose it. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he was willing to fire it up and say, you know what, this is a good shot. I feel confident. I do not care that he was 4 of 17 in this game. Like he did what Purdue asks him to do, which is pull the trigger when you're open, when you're confident. You would if he makes 7 or 8, again, different ball game, but he doesn't. He hits 4. And again, they were rebounding at such a high rate. You feel like you got a 60-40 chance on the offensive glass at this point.
21 offensive rebounds, Dustin. They had 21 offensive rebounds. Nebraska had 31 defensive rebounds. Like, Nebraska only out-rebounded Purdue on Purdue's offensive end by 10. Like, that's insane to think that Purdue had that many offensive boards, and that's just the second chance. And the second chance points were huge too, 17-6. So, like, Purdue, I totally 100% agree. I would love to see that be 7 of 17, 8 of 17, shoot even 9 of 17. Just he blows up for 30 or whatever. But he didn't. But in the grand scheme of things, and I'm always going to be this guy, they still came out with a W on the road in Lincoln against an extremely tough team.
Yes. And I mean, that's how you got to look at this. Like if Purdue didn't have a 22-point lead at some point in this game, you'd look at it and say, this was a gutsy win. It was, had this been played between 10 points the whole game, you would talk about how gritty it was and how tough it was. And Purdue still had to get down and roll up their sleeves and grit this one out. Like this was still
found a way to win.
And they still found a way to win. Yes. And that's the most important thing at this point. Style points don't matter.
Nope. It still goes down as a top 10 win.
Exactly. So, I thought Purdue's offensive game plan, I would have liked to see them establish themselves a little bit more in the paint in the second half, but Nebraska took some of that away. Now, what did they do? Well, I know you were kind of watching on the screen, but did you notice late in that second half, they did go small ball. They went Kaufman-Renn at the 5, Benter at the 4. Yep. And so they did use, and I don't want to take credit for that. I'm sure Matt Painter probably thought that up on, probably wasn't watching our podcast.
He probably watched you say something about it and thought, you know what? It's not a bad idea.
In all seriousness, I mean,
if we're thinking about it, he's already thought about it.
Yeah, for a year and a half, I'm sure.
Right.
But my point in this one was Nebraska didn't, or Purdue had the size advantage. And so when Nebraska gets rolling on the offensive, and the way Kaufman-Renn, he was rebounding like a 5 today.
Yes.
So you weren't really surrendering much in that situation. But I just thought that Purdue's small ball lineup on the defensive end could move with Nebraska shooters a little bit better than Cluff and Jacobson could. Jacobson, I didn't think played bad. I just think it was a bad game for him to be involved in. I just wasn't a good matchup for him, and that's okay. Cluff did what he needed to do. Trey Kaufman-Renn did what he needed to do. And, this was, look, I'm going to say this too because I failed to mention it. This was a total team effort. Everybody who played scored at least 3 points. You got 20 points from your bench. You got 7 from Benner, 7 from Jakari Harris. You got that big lob from Daniel Jacobson.
Yes.
You get 4 starters in double figures. Every starter had at least 2 assists, and every starter had at least 2 rebounds. And the only guys that didn't get a rebound, funnily enough, was Jacobson and then Jakari. But and how about, and let me tell you one more thing, Jakari Harris, 7 points, wasn't afraid to shoot the ball. And who was the guy who made the free throws when Purdue needed him to at the end there? I know it's only 1.5 seconds left, right? But if he misses one of those and Nebraska gets a 3/4 heave and it goes in, they lose. Yeah. So, right. So
at the very least, you're looking at he saved it from being over in overtime as a loss. He at least extended it to at least double overtime.
And I think too, even though you feel like you have that game locked up, stepping to the line when you've watched so many of your teammates miss those free throws, that's not a comfortable position to be in. So hats off to him. I think he's another guy that sometimes, like Fletch, gets a little bit of a little bit too much negative attention. And so when he does well, I'm really happy for him because he's a good kid and he keeps grinding. And the fact that he was able to knock down some big free throws today, that was I was happy for him. Happy to see that happen.
You talked about, everybody scoring at least 3 points. Omer Meyer only scored on 1 3-pointer, and it was in the first half when they were building their lead. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you, it came at really in a good sequence because I believe it might have been a missed free throw, or it might not have been. I was calling a game at the same time that I was trying to kind of keep. I had one eye on the high school game and one eye kind of looking at the phone watching the game, vaguely. But I did have a chance because we went to a timeout in the high school game. To this is Omer took the open 3, missed it, and I believe it was Cluff batted it out. They reset. And the ball movement was all over the place. It wasn't like they were giving up shots. They were just moving the ball to kind of get Nebraska to just kind of do this. Like they were spinning. Mm-hmm. And then Omer Meyer gets it wide open top of the key and drains it. It was a backbreaker because they missed the shot. Nebraska couldn't get the rebound, and then they just hammered it home again. So even Omer Meyer's one shot came at a very good time in a good sequence during that. Interesting stat. You talked about how Purdue went to the small ball lineup for part of the part. Dustin,
I'm here.
Did I freeze?
You did freeze.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes. No, you're good.
Am I good now?
It's still cutting out a little bit. Oh boy.
Nope. I'm freezing too.
And now we don't. Oh boy.
Okay, it's being a little. Good Lord, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. You were talking about the small ball lineup. I don't know what it is with the area. It's been glitching up pretty bad, but lately. But you talked about them using the small ball lineup part of the game. So I'm going to give you 3 people today. Okay. So normally my past has Oscar Cluff and Trey Kaufman-Renn almost out rebounded or actually out rebounded the other team. You throw Benter in there because he was the other big man during those lineups. 37 rebounds. Nebraska had 37 rebounds.
There you go. I thought you were going to throw Braden Smith in there because he had 8. So you throw those guys in there.
You're right, but I'm talking about the big men when it comes to that part. So those 3, Benter, TKR, and Cluff, 37-37 against the entire Nebraska team.
Yeah. And that's when you have those kind of stats, you're going to win a lot of basketball games. And the thing that's really, to me, first half, Trey had 9 rebounds, 0 points. Yeah. And I think if that happened last year, if Trey had gone that long without scoring, I don't think he gets 9 rebounds. He might get 2 or 3, but he would get so frustrated. And today it was just like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to help my team win. And if that meant he had 19 rebounds and 0 points, I think that's what it would have meant. He is just like, he knew he could take advantage of that. And the other thing about it too, Sam, to me, was 19 rebounds, and you think you can automatically get second chance. He was patient with the basketball. He made a lot of good decisions. I'm not saying he had a perfect game, but I thought he played really, really well. So I hear Abby laughing. So Illinois must have lost to Wisconsin. So there you go, Purdue fans who are watching. I think, Wisconsin beat Illinois 92-90, so that helps Purdue in the Big Ten race. But the way that Trey Kaufman-Renn played and the way that they were able to establish Oscar Cluff early, get him going, I think that really helped his confidence throughout today's game.
Well, let's talk about Braden real quick. He had 13, 8 rebounds, 10 assists. So he had 10 points in the first half, 3 in the second half, and overtime total. So his scoring came in the first half, but he still had some assists in that first half. And Purdue was clicking that first half. There ain't no two ways about it. But at the same time, that was, you want him to shoot better, but he was facilitating. He was getting rebounds when they needed it. He's the smallest dude on the floor 90% of the time, and he knows how to rebound. But it's just a really great overall game from him. He only turns the ball over once, which, that's huge. This was a good leadership game from him, I think.
I agree. And I was going to make this point too. And so I'm glad you brought it up. The leadership thing. And I don't know if this is a theme or if it is not. His body language in these games, I feel like, is way better than it is against teams like Oregon and Minnesota. And I think that that's where that 18 to 23-year-old kid comes in. And not saying he's immature, but what I'm saying is where you think we should be beating this team by 15 or 17 points, and you get overly frustrated because you're not making plays or you're not. But in tonight, he was like, I've got to stay locked in or we don't have a chance. And I think that was the case against Alabama earlier this year. I think that was the case. I mean, Auburn didn't really pose much of a threat, but I think in some of these bigger games, these higher profile matchups, he keeps his composure much better than he did in games like Minnesota and Oregon. Those are the two that stand out. I'm sure there's another one on that list, but I thought the exact same thing. Like there were some plays and where I thought, maybe he might get frustrated or he was cool, calm, and collected. Never got too animated. He was just steady as it's not steady as a cucumber. It's cool as a cucumber. So that's what I meant. Yeah. Although cucumbers are pretty steady.
You were mixing your cliches there.
I was.
But yeah, I thought that was my main takeaway. I mean, like I said, I was only kind of watching about 40% while I could. But at the same time, I did notice that, he didn't shoot well. He was 5 of 15. He did not shoot well. But that came, he only scored 3 points in the second half. That's kind of where his shooting came, as spotty. And not that he had a great shooting first half, but it was better. I guess he shot 50%. Yeah. He was 4 of 8 in the first half. And 1 of 7 in the second half, which was a 3-pointer, and he missed his free throw. And this is just second half. Overtime. Hey, here's the thing. I'm looking at overtime. Purdue shot 3 of 10, 30%, but Nebraska was 3 of 5. They only got 5 shots off in all of overtime. So they turned the ball over twice, and it just and Purdue had 8 rebounds in overtime. That you don't win many games when you're out rebounded 8-2 in a 5-minute span when you have to have, good effective rebounding, especially when you're missing shots. But I think that's probably why Purdue missed so many shots, was they were able to get the rebounds and still be able to, salt it out. If you call a 3-point win salting it out at the end. But it kind of was when there was a second and a half and you had to hit 2 free throws to make it a one.
That's right.
A full
I agree with
possession. You. But oh goodness gracious, Dustin! It was anxious watching it half-heartedly like I was because I had something else going on, but I can't imagine. I'm going to rewatch it, and the only nice thing about that one is I know the outcome, so it won't.
Yeah,
It'll still make me frustrated having maybe watched some of it, but I know they win, so
it makes it a little bit easier.
It's always better watching the replay when you know they win.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
But final score from Lincoln, Nebraska: Purdue takes down the 7th-ranked Cornhuskers, 80-77 in overtime. After they'd built a quite sizable lead, but gave that up. But at the same time, the only thing that really matters is the final score is you've got more points than they do. And that's what happened tonight for the Boilermakers. Off to Iowa City. They're Dustin off to Iowa City on Saturday, right? Correct? Yes, Saturday.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They will be in Iowa City to take on the Hawkeyes, and that one will be interesting. And if they could come back from this road trip 2-0, I think that's a huge momentum builder for them going into these next 3 games.
Oh, 100%. Yep. You've got 3 big home games. So if you go 2-0, I think they're going to get a lot of momentum. I said if they win this game today, that I think that's going to catapult them and give them a bunch of confidence, momentum heading into the final stretch. So yep. I expect to see a big performance again on Saturday against Iowa.
Yeah, I do too. So thanks so much for joining us at BoilerBall postgame in the lounge. For Dustin Schutte, I'm Sam Springer. We will see you later.